I'm going to tell a funny story though. Not a funny story, just a great story. I was in Tokyo last week, and there's a band there called the Warlocks of Tokyo. They're a Grateful Dead cover band.
Get at it.
And my neighbor who lives on my block here lived in Tokyo for like 8 years. I became friends with them. And they were supposed to play at the Skull and Roses Festival a few years ago, but they couldn't get their visas. And they were going to come to San Francisco and stay with my neighbor Brian and come over to my house. And they were excited to meet me. And so when I told my neighbor Brian I was going to Tokyo, he moved back about a year and a half ago. He said, "Oh, let me connect you with Ken from Warlocks of Tokyo. Maybe they have a show." And so I emailed Ken, and Ken said, "Well, we have no Warlocks of Tokyo, but I'll put together a show for you in the style of the Jerry Garcia band." So he put together a band at this little club called Lone, Lown, Lone. And it was a Jerry Garcia band show. And they played The Harder They Come and When I Paint My Masterpiece,
Wow.
played Sugary, and they sing it all in Japanese. Okay. And Ken, okay, and also the name of the band that he put together for this thing, and he put this together for me because I was coming. The name of the band was Ken and Friends, like Phil and Friends, right? I'm like an O'Teal and Friends. It's Ken and Friends. So we get to this bar, and I bring a bunch of Grateful Dead postcards and giving them to everybody in the audience. And the venue only holds 30 people. It was sold
Wow.
out, right? And so we're talking to all the people, and nobody speaks really good English, even though some of them had lived in America for decades. And we're communicating. I'm talking to this guy who's wearing a Phil and Friend shirt, and I'm talking to him. And all of a sudden, Ken says to everybody, "Okay, let's play." And the guy I'm talking to, who's 70 years old, gets up, goes on stage, and he's the bass player in the band. He's Japanese Phil Lesh. Okay, right? And so they start playing, and my neighbor Brian says that besides Ken, so when he was 15 years old, he had an epiphany that he needed to be the Japanese Jerry Garcia.
Wow.
Okay. And then he went about his life's work has been to translate all of the Grateful Dead lyrics to Japanese. Okay. This is like taking the sacred scrolls and translating them. Like scholars spend an entire lifetime doing this. So he has the entire Grateful Dead songbook translated to Japanese. They did Sugary. It was unbelievable. We were crying. It was so good. They had a female singer. They had Japanese Donna, and they had Japanese Melvin Seals, who was white and Japanese. They had Japanese David Kemper, Japanese John Kahn. There was a guy sitting at the bar. He was 120 years old, and when he called the band up to start playing, he was the harmonica player, and he ripped it
Shut
up.
up.
It was unbelievable. It was the greatest night of my life.
That
Except
is
for when I see Steve Poltz.
is outstanding.